Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Wendy here. So today I'm going to do a book review on a wonderful book that I read that I said I was going to review a few weeks back. Um, the name of the book is Lost and Found by Kathyryn Schultz. And the book is written in three sections. The first section is about loss, the loss of her father. The second section is about finding someone who is about her wife. And the third section is about the actual word and. So the first part of the book does talk about losing her father and the great grief that she went through. Her dad was a wonderful, brilliant man, and he had a very hard life growing up, but seemed to have a very wonderful adulthood. And he loved language, and he was just brilliant. And she talks about the time that she spent with him, leading right up to the time that he got sick. And she explains all about the very aggressive treatments that he went through and the time spent in the hospital and, waiting for a diagnosis and seeing him suffer, and the rest of the family having to go through this. She does say at one point in the book that they realize that he is not going to get well, and that he's not going to return home the same man if he does return home. And the second part of the book discusses finding love and how she found her wife, who she fell very rapidly and very deeply in love with. Her wife is mentioned in the first part of the book, but she kind of hangs out in the background, so you really don't find out many details about her. And the third part of the book is about the word and the significance of a word that we use all the time, but never really understand how much of a meaning that it has for us. So the first part of the book, like I said, describes her father's death and the magnificent grief that she goes through afterwards, and the days and the months after his funeral, and how she doesn't know how she's going to get through it. And having had both these things happen to me, and I think most people can relate to these two things, death and finding love in their life. I related so much with this story, because I remember feeling that way when my father passed away, and just not being able to put things into words. And she really explained everything that I felt beautifully, that I would never be able to put into words. And the magnitude of losing somebody that you love that deeply, and thinking that that you're never going to get through this, and how will you make it through the days. And she explains how life goes on, and how a death and, say, a marriage happens afterwards, or a birth of a child afterwards, or falling in love after a death. These things are life. The third part of the book kind of ties everything together. Her father's death and finding the love of her life happened within an 18-month period. And the third part kind of rewinds through that time and explains their courtship and how they fell in love. And the last part also talks about the actual word and, or the ampersand, and how we use it like every day in our lives, to tie things together. And when you think about it, it does tie things together. So it tied the first and second section together, and the last part is explaining what and means and what it does. So that was beautifully done. And she talks about, just life, getting, these are things that happen in most people's lives. And she explains it so beautifully in this, and all the feelings that she conveys. And this book is not just about grief. At the core of this book, it is about joy, and how she, even though losing her father was horrific, it also made her appreciate and have such gratitude for the man that he was. And she was so grateful that he was her dad and things that he taught her. And she was just so grateful for that. And she conveys it again, like I said, beautifully in this book. This is her first memoir, Kathyryn Schultz, and she was a writer for The New Yorker, who her wife was also. And her love of language and of writing and, you know, just the English came from her father. You know, his love of learning and everything was so much a part of her that he passed on to her. And I can relate to that too, because I told you guys in another video that my father's love of reading passed on to me, and he was also a very brilliant man. So this book was very relatable to me and really touched me reading this book, because I remember feeling everything that she felt in this book with my own father's death, and also finding love. I think we all can relate to that. You know, it's amazing when you think about how you find that one person. The odds of finding that person in your lifetime is really incredible when you think about it. So again, this book is beautifully written, and it is a memoir, but she doesn't really talk about herself in this book. She talks about other people in her life, which was very surprising for a memoir, but I loved it, though. I didn't expect it, and I love that in books as well. The cover is beautiful in this book, and that also has meaning, which you will find when you read this book. So I thought that was done, you know, great as well. So pick up this book. I think you will really thoroughly enjoy it. It's a book that I can read again and again. It was a joy to read, and I would recommend it to anyone. Again, it was very relatable to everyday life, because almost everybody has experienced, you know, loss and love in their life. So it's something that most people can relate to, and that's what was so great about the book as well. So pick up that book. I think you will thoroughly enjoy it as much as I did. And that's it. That is a wrap, guys, as I say. I hope everybody is doing well. Thank you so much once again for hitting that like and subscribe button. It helps me so much. It shows me that you love the content here, and I will continue to put it out and throw in surprises. And I love having you here. So thank you so much, and I will meet you back again here on Monday, so don't forget to tune in, and have a wonderful weekend, and as always, I'll see you later.